Hi, this is Geoff Tate from Queensryche, and you're watching The Age of Metal.
There's gotta be more than this, 'cause what you're saying don't make sense. The fire in your eyes has gone out again. And the only thing I want in the middle of disarray, I was it could make you stay. Something that shakes you. Would you wait?
Hi, this is Jackie with The Age of Metal, and here we are in Tempe, Arizona at the Marquee Theater, and I'm here with Geoff Tate of Queensryche. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
So, you guys are on the 25th anniversary tour of the Operation Mindcrime album. How's the tour been going so far?
It's been going good. Yeah, we've had mostly sold-out shows, and the band's playing really well, and we're having a lot of laughs.
That's great to hear. So, how does it feel to be able to play those songs after so many years, and do you feel like Operation Mindcrime is a very important album to your career?
Yeah, it's a very important album. You know, it was kind of Queensryche's breakout album, really, where, we kind of jumped to another level, I guess, with that record, which was strange because at the time when it came out, it wasn't considered, people didn't really know about it yet. You know, it came out and it sold as many records as our previous record sold. And in fact, we had been out on tour with the album, and our management came to us one day and said, okay, well, we've reached the wall, time to go back in the studio and make another record. And so we started doing that, and then MTV called and said, hey, we really like this record. We'd like you guys to make a video for it. So we did. We got all our money together and spent everything we had on making a video for Eyes of a Stranger. And after that video came out, the album went gold, like within a week. So it was a nice surprise, and also kind of a bit of an education, because you really got to see the power of television. And then we came out with Empire, and it was time to, play Operation Mindcrime in its entirety, and that's when we first did it. It was on the Empire tour.
So then, is it very memorable? Do you ever get kind of like little flashbacks of when you did it back then to now when you're doing it today?
No, not really. I'm kind of a person that lives in the now, so I'm not too nostalgic, really. I'm kind of always moving on to the next thing.
So everyone is aware of the split. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of an LA Gun situation where there's two versions of the band. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's been a split amongst your fans?
I don't know. I haven't talked to them all.
But you've had a really good turnout, and you feel like there's a lot of support out there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've had. Well, I think this will be our 6th show, and we've had 4 sellouts, so far. So that's going really well. Very happy about that.
That's great to hear. Mm-hmm. So, also, in the future, do you think that both sides could ever kind of come together again, or is it best to stay your separate ways?
Can't really answer that question right now, unfortunately. Sorry.
That's fine. Looking at the past, did you ever think Queensryche would still be around and be such a big band as it is today?
I suppose when we started out, I never really took the time to think about that, Again, I'm not one that kind of lives in the past, nor do I kind of always look towards the future. I'm kind of in the moment, Mm-hmm. So I just always felt that I particularly would keep making music till as long as I couldn't make music anymore, really. It's kind of what I do. It's my life's work. It's in my blood, It's what I've always done and what I know, So I'll always be a musician.
So how did you select the lineup for the band right now?
I asked people to play with me who I really liked as people. and who had, the ability to wrap their head around the music. Queensryche music, it's difficult to define, and it's difficult to play. When you first hear it, a lot of musicians say, "Oh yeah, I got that. I understand it." But then when they try to play it, they find that it's a lot more to it than what they initially thought, and that's the design of it. It's complex without being obviously complex. Like guys that can play, straight ahead metal or hard rock. They may have the power, to play that way, but then oftentimes they have problems with the time changes and the flip-flop of the beat back and forth from downbeat to upbeat, and things like that make it difficult to play. You got to kind of be on your game to play this music. So it's tricky stuff, and you have to kind of pick the right people that can play that way.
But you're very happy with everyone, and everyone's getting along really great.
Yeah, so far we're having a great time. Actually, the personalities have really, seemed to, everyone's bonded, and there's a whole, there's already jokes being passed around. There's little funny things that people do, and it's become part of the tour now that I don't know, there's these little things that bring people together, instances and situations that you live through that bring the band together, and we've already had several of those, so it's been really fun. Funnest time I've had in years, actually.
Well, that's good to know. That's really awesome for you guys. You do also have a new album coming out on April 23rd, Frequency Unknown.
Right.
Other than yourself, who helped collaborate on the writing process for that album?
The writing process, let's see, Jason Slater and myself and Randy Gain, our keyboard player, Lucas Rossi, who's a singer, guitar player, and I think that's it from the writing standpoint. And then we had a lot of people come in and play on it, which was really fun. Really great players, from drummers to bass players to guitar players, all kinds of people that I've known over the years called them up and said, "Hey, want to play on my record?" And it was a wonderful feeling to know that so many people were interested in participating,
Now, the single Cold has also been released. The lyrics seem very powerful. Around what time did you start writing the album, and what's the inspiration behind it?
This is always difficult for me to answer because I'm not so good with dates and times. I'm going to guess it was sometime around January.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we finished it March 1st. So it was a big, one of those kind of records that you completely throw yourself into, and you live and breathe it. You don't shower for a month, you don't shave. It's like, you're completely and utterly focused on the record, Kind of refreshing to do a record like that, actually.
And what would you say was kind of fueling you guys to just keep going? Was there any...
Well, we wanted to get it done to coincide with the tour dates, and to have an album and a tour at the same time, and it's very important to do that, so that was our goal, really.
And you also did release your second solo album, King and Thieves. Did you get a really good response to that album, and do you plan to do any future tours for that?
No, I'm not going to do any future tours for the album, but I plan on making more solo records, yeah.
Both of those solo records were very different from each other.
Yeah.
What kind of influenced you from switching up the styles?
I like a lot of different kinds of music, and as Queensryche fans have a hard time adjusting to new things. They want Queensryche music to be in a certain vein, and that's cool. I can do that. But my solo material, as a musician, as an artist, I really need to stretch out and go in a lot of different ways, And so doing a solo record gives you the ability to do that, stretch out and try all kinds of different things that you can't do in the context of what Queensryche is,
So with the third album, you might go in a completely different direction then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you really like the fact that you can jump around and you can be versatile and kind of show your different shades as an artist.
Well, it's not necessarily about showing anything. It's about experiencing it. You know, it's about feeling it. You know, and it's about collaborating with different people and artists that I respect and like, and see if you can put together some kind of creative relationship. You know, it's a beautiful thing when it happens and you just click. You know, like Kelly Gray and I, we've written a lot of records together, a lot of songs over the years. Randy Gain and I have worked together really closely in a lot of things. Chris DeGarmo and I worked really well together over the years on various projects. This new relationship I have with a guy named Lucas Rossi is really turning out to be a wonderful creative relationship. Already we wrote 2 songs on this new Queensryche record together. And Jason Slater too, my longtime writing partner. We just click, you know. And I can say, "Gosh, I really want to write a song about what happened to me yesterday," and you can talk about it, and boom, a song starts being developed right there, just on a conversation, you know. And that's always kind of the best stuff, I think, is music that's inspired by the moment.
Because more personal.
Yeah, and you're both people that are developing it are feeding off the same information. You know, you might have different perspectives on the same situation, but you're still writing from the perspective of experiencing that situation together. You know, and it's the symbiotic kind of relationship that starts developing, and from an artistic standpoint, that's always incredibly exciting.
So you really like the bond that you can get with different people with different situations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. And I like working with people that come from different musical backgrounds other than my background, you know. I like hearing what they add to it, you know. As a writer, you know, you have a certain way of approaching things, or you have a certain palette of inspiration that you choose from based upon your own, you know, musical experience. And so when you bring in another person with their whole new palette of ideas and inspiration, the melding of those two people with all that pool of information to pull from becomes really exciting, you know. Mm-hmm. You can really invent something new that way, you know.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting, your process and the way that you look at things. It's always different with each person.
It is, and I enjoy that, you know. I think, you know, growing up at the time I did, musicians weren't trying to appeal to a genre. Mm-hmm. The term genre wasn't invented yet, or at least applying to music, you know. In fact, it was considered an insult if you were that derivative of somebody else. You know, people were striving to be unique and to be different. And to be unique, you have to stretch outside of your musical influences. You know, you got to get outside of and listen to different things, you know, and bring all those ideas into what you do. And nowadays, there's a real strong, it's powerful actually, the need that people have to conform. Mm-hmm. In fact, it scares me how easily people want to jump on the bandwagon and be like everybody else. You know, nobody wants to be different. They don't want to step outside, you know, and that's a scary, scary place to be, I think, for art. You know, art has to progress. It has to keep moving. It has to keep changing, and it has to be a reflection of the times. Mm-hmm. And I sure don't want to be considered part of the times of a society that's all about conforming, you know. So
you feel like labels and genres kind of hinder people from stepping outside the box because they don't want to be the oddball out. They kind of just want to be categorized in that genre.
You have to have strength of character to be the odd man out. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to stand on your beliefs and believe in what you do, no matter what, because the world is filled with conformists who are very critical of anything that's different, you know, and they will put you down. It starts in school.
Yeah.
You know, remember in school if you wore something different, okay, now you're a slut. You know, are you kidding me? Are you gonna label somebody a slut because of what they're wearing? Mm-hmm. You know, that's juvenile. But the whole idea and the concept, it follows people out of school into everyday life, the job, the workplace, society. Now with the internet being the way it is, people are constantly criticizing everything, you know, and mostly from a platform of ignorance, I feel.
Well, hopefully people can kind of realize what they're putting themselves into and kind of just break away and not feel like they have to be under one label and fit in and kind of just do their own thing.
I hope so.
So your voice has been very consistent over the years and still sounds amazing as it did back then as it does today. Is there any special vocal exercises or anything you do to maintain your voice?
Well, you know, vocalists and drummers have a lot in common because your body is your instrument, really, you know. You depend on it a lot. You know, like a guitar player can have pneumonia and play a show, no problem. But not typically drummers and singers. They'll have to go to the hospital, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of thing. So you have to kind of live a little bit with moderation and get enough sleep, and especially when you're touring, you know.
Yeah.
Got to rest up. Can't go out partying every night with everybody else. You have to kind of beat the guy that says, "Oh, I wish I could go, but I got to go to bed." You know.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of boring sometimes, but it's the name of the game, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, you have to do that. You have to exercise a lot and try to stay healthy and keep a positive mental attitude. You know, helps a lot.
Well, that's amazing to know that you have to do so much to keep your voice in perfect shape.
Yeah, well, touring is hard.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at our schedule, we play 6 nights a week, different venues every night. You know, travel, boom, 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 and then during the day, you know, you got to go to the radio station and do acoustic guitar performances and meet and greets and after shows, and you know, being on tour, it's a rolling party, right? It's a very social occupation, so you're constantly meeting people and shaking hands and
Germs.
yeah, all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to keep your immune system strong, you know.
So what's next for Queensryche?
I don't know. Probably a day off tomorrow.
Well, hopefully you enjoy.
I mean, in the far future.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. We're booked up through the rest of the year with concerts and tours, and new albums coming out, of course, end of the month. And I'll probably start on another record here soon. Kind of feeling it already.
Really?
Got some ideas, and so hopefully this summer we have a short break in touring. I can hit the studio and start throwing down some ideas.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad to hear that for you, that you're going to get going on your next albums. Good luck with the rest of the tour, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Enjoyed the conversation.
I don't